Yo, this is SoulDrum86 bringing you another video. Now, this is like the fourth time I recorded this video, but I wanted to really hit home the point that I want to make in this. This is a 2K video. Shocker, I know. Um, but when I was talking before, I kind of was veering off topic. I want to keep it to, I want to keep this precise. So, one of the things that I hear touched on slightly when it comes to 2K is the lack of competition, but I don't feel like it's talked about enough. I feel like it's talked. I don't feel like it's talked about enough, um, because I think that out of everything is the biggest reason why we never see WWE 2K take leaps, and we never see them truly improve and truly try to make the game feel different. Is because of the lack of competition. Because if I'm being honest, this is the first time in my history of gaming where there's a lack of competition across the board. We used to have multiple different NBA games, multiple different NFL games, MLB games. And not only did we have multiple different games of these sports titles, we also had arcade fun pick up and play of these sports. We had NBA Live, we have NBA 2K, but then we also had NBA Street. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had NBA Live, but we also had NBA Jam. We had NBA Hang Time. These are like back in the 90s. Like, there was always something, right? And we used to have multiple wrestling games, not only just from the same company on different consoles, but the rival companies. We also had other games. You know what I mean? Like, we had WCW games, we had ECW. And, now with the lack of competition, I think a lot of people, these developers and everything, they get complacent and they kind of just coast. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about us fans who every year say, oh, the game should have this, the game should have that. Why don't we have this? Why is this game not here yet? Why have they not added this or implemented this into the game? And I hear you. I hear you. I've spent so many hours talking to you guys about ideas and what should be in the game and what they need to take out of the game and stuff like that. We've talked ad nauseum. There's so many people on the internet that talks about what WWE 2K should implement. But the sad fact of the matter is, without competition, they're not going to do anything. Now, AEW Fight Forever helped a little bit push, 2K to do some newer things with the blood system, intergender matches, throwing of the weapons, etc., which is good. And I just want to take a side note to say that AEW Fight Forever is a good game for what it is. It's fun. It's pick up and play. It respects your time. You know what I mean? If you only got 20 minutes, you can get about 5 matches done in those 20 minutes because the matches can end pretty quick, but you can have fun while playing. It is a very fun game, and still, in my opinion. And I feel like there is space in gaming for a game like AEW Fight Forever. Problem is that a lot of people were expecting a game that they could really sink their teeth in. And because AEW never added to the game, and they kind of kept us on the leash of this whole, will they add this? Will they implement this? Will they add more wrestlers? Will they add this? Will they add or create a pay-per-view / story mode? We were kind of left on the hook. And eventually it was like, no, they didn't do any of that, because I think, and as I've said before in videos in the past, the game that we got with AEW Fight Forever was the game that they intended. They did intend for a game to be just pick up and play. We've heard this out of Kenny Omega's mouth. We heard this out of the Young Bucks' mouth. We heard it out of Tony Khan's mouth. They have had interviews where they said, remember when you would just sit on the couch and play co-op with a friend? That's the type of game, and when you play AEW Fight Forever, it feels that way. That's exactly what they set out to do. They set out to make a game to just be pick up and play, easy to, what is it? Easy to play, difficult to master or something like that. And it very much feels like an old school game. It is very much a pick up and play type of experience. Again, the problem is there's just not enough there to sink teeth into, because fans were and still are getting sick of WWE 2K. Even if you play it all the time, there is a part of you that just kind of gets sick of the game because people want more. And without competition, we just don't have it. Now, remember when NBA Live implemented the dunk contest? What did 2K do shortly after, if not the year after? They added in the dunk contest because the dunk contest was such a big mode that year for NBA Live. It was great. It was fantastic, actually. It was very fun to play. It was a little over the top. You know, a lot of the dunks that you could do in the dunk contest were not realistic. You know what I mean? Especially for the NBA standards, they weren't realistic, but it was still fun. And I remember at that time, everybody was raving about it. But NBA 2K didn't have that. But then eventually they did add the dunk contest. The bad thing about NBA 2K now is that you can't pick to do the All-Star Weekend stuff. You have to play a season mode or My Career to actually play a part of the, dunk contest or, 3-point contest. You have to play through a season mode just to get to those modes instead of being able to pick them just through the menu, which sucks. But games used to get things off of each other. They used to, I guess you can, in a way, almost even say they were inspired to do certain things because of these other game titles. You know what I mean? Like, just think of all these sports titles where one game would have something, and it would be like, man, okay, NFL 2K has this feature in it. Madden doesn't have this, but then the next year, Madden would implement it, but then add something of their own. And then it would be something that NFL 2K didn't have. And then NFL 2K would add that. And there was always this back and forth. And this whole tit for tat of like, okay, we're going to make our game even better next year. And then the other guys are saying, we're going to make our game even better. Okay. And it's like, without that, this is what we're seeing now with the gaming industry. All right. It's more than just the microtransactions. It's more than just the games that are in development for years and hype you up. And then when they finally come out, they're a bit of a letdown. It's more than just hey, we got 3 different versions of this game, but if you pay us 120 or more, you get the complete edition. But then there's also going to be some extra content that we're going to nickel and dime you for. It's not just about that type of stuff that's hurting the gaming industry. What hurts the gaming industry is the lack of competition, because without that, these companies aren't just going to listen to the fans. And I know that sucks, but they aren't. I wish that they would. I really do. But they just, the sad fact of the matter is that they won't. The only thing that really moves companies now is competition. Because when they see that the competition is doing something, they're going to look at their wallets. They're going to look at money being an issue. Because right now, it's going to be very difficult, and it always is very difficult, to get fans to kind of say all together, I'm not pre-ordering this, or I'm not going to buy this day one. I'm not going to buy this in the first 2 months. It's hard to get people to unify that way. So because you can't get people to unify that way, and they always suck you in with the hype trailers, then this is what we're left with. Sad, but it's the truth. I miss the days where we had so many different titles of these different genres. I mean, we had simulation basketball and arcade basketball. We had simulation baseball and arcade baseball games. We had simulation football games and arcade football games. We had arcade hockey games and we had simulation hockey games. We got to get so much. I've even started to hear people ever since maybe 2 years ago, people are saying like, should they make an All-Stars too? But the gaming industry doesn't listen to the fans. The only thing that's going to move them is for companies to come out and just do it themselves. So ladies and gentlemen, what I'm here to tell you is that one of the biggest reasons why 2K seems to be stuck in the mud, one of the reasons why 2K seems to just be the same old, is because they have no competition. And without competition, they have no motivation. They have no real motivation to push the envelope. The only thing that they can do is make a game that's better than the year before. But they know, especially judging by the feedback of pre-orders and how many people buy day one, they only have to do really the bare minimum, because they're the only wrestling game in town that is worth anything. Because right now, A lot of people do want to build their own shows. Right now, a lot of people like playing universe mode. People like playing story modes that have a lot going for them. Story modes that you can play for a while. You might not be able to play through it a second time, but it's something that you could at least play through for a while. So many people got sick of AEW's Road to the Elite because everybody expected it to be like Road to WrestleMania because the guys that worked on Road to WrestleMania worked on Road to Elite. But it just wasn't the same. It just was not the same. And so now we have 2K in the state that it's in now. Every year it's rinse and repeat. The game needs to add this. The game needs to add that. There needs to be more. There needs to be more. And then we get the trailer. Everybody gets excited. Most people pre-order. Most people buy day one. And then once they play the game is broken. And then here comes the patches. And then here comes the announcements of DLC where the majority of the people that are DLC content are NBA players, celebrities, non-wrestlers, not what the fans want. But the fans are going to get it because they said so. And then people that make videos on 2K a lot, the video content starts to slow down. And it slows down and it slows down and it slows down. And this is about halfway through the life cycle of the game. All you got to do is give it about a couple months. And the only time that you start seeing videos pop up is whenever there's new DLC. And then it's rinse and repeat because after that, then it's what 2K needs to add. And I was having fun with 2K, but not anymore. It kind of feels like it's the same game. You see where I'm going with this? Now, just imagine if 2K had some sort of real competition. What if AEW had a game? And I know a lot of people have issues with AEW in real life, but hear me out. Because AEW is a popular wrestling brand. The two most popular wrestling brands out there, WWE and AEW. The most well-known. People from WWE that were big went over to AEW and are still big. They're a big deal. Jon Moxley, Tony Storm. You know what I mean? Adam Copeland. The list can go on and on. So they're heavy hitters as well. So just imagine if they had a wrestling game that actually rivaled WWE 2K. Maybe they had a universe mode, but the universe mode was better. What if they had a story mode like Road to WrestleMania? What if they implemented a season mode for AEW Fight Forever? Something where you could pick the existing roster or create your own wrestler. What if it would push WWE 2K to make a better game? That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to talk about what the stuff that I normally talk about. I'm not here to say, oh, they need to put this in universe mode. I'm done doing that. I'm done doing that. I've spent 2-3 years on this channel saying what they need to do to get better. I've done that. I'm done. I'm done. This isn't a video about add this mode in, add this mode that. No, this video is a video explaining to you guys, and I know most of you already know, the biggest reason why 2K doesn't change is because there is just no competition. They have no reason to get better. Nobody's making them grip their wallet. That's the problem. So until then, I'm sad to say this, but 2K will always be in the state that it's in until there is a game or games that come out that can really rival it. It's your boy Soul Drum 86, and I'm out. Peace.